All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our webinar, Something's Fishy, Avoiding Risk for Small Businesses. My name is Kelly Schweppe, and I'm the Program Marketing Specialist here at General Electric Credit Union. We're so glad you've joined us this morning. We have a lot of great content ahead, and we're excited to continue to bring you insight right from the comfort of your home, work, or wherever you are today. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Jason Lida to introduce himself and today's guest speaker. Jason?
Good morning, and thank you, Kelly. As Kelly mentioned, my name is Jason Lida, and I head up the Business Support and Treasury Management Group here at General Electric Credit Union, which is simply the deposit function of the different products and services we offer to our business members. We have a variety of business-specific deposit and lending products and services that help businesses of all sizes manage their cash flow, mitigate risk, and ultimately grow and succeed. We began offering this series of webinars last year. Actually, Steve was our first presenter, to assist our business members improve the quality of their business's financial life. If we can assist your business with some deposit products or lending needs, or if you just want to talk, please let us know. Now for the fun part. For over 30 years, Steve Arosky has been in the IT business development and marketing industry working for companies like Hewlett-Packard. Steve created innovative solutions that solve complex problems for his clients. In 2016, Steve left the corporate world and followed his passion of helping small businesses by starting CMIT Solutions of Cincinnati Northeast. CMIT was founded to help small businesses eliminate their IT frustrations and concerns and allow them to focus on their core business. Being a small business himself, Steve feels the pride in helping other small businesses achieve their goals in this space. With that, I'd like to introduce my friend, Steve Arosky. Steve?
Hey, good morning, Jason. Thanks for having me again on your series. It's good to be here. So I'm just going to jump right into the presentation. As the description described, we're going to talk about phishing today and how you can avoid clicking on something in an email or going to a link on an email or maybe even a website that you don't necessarily want to go to. So a little bit more about me. Again, I've got over 35 years of IT experience. I started in Ohio up at Kent State, ended up going down to Texas and spent 15 years with McDonnell Douglas and Boeing, working on space station, space shuttle programs, did some DoD work, and then switched over to Hewlett-Packard, where I did some things for state of Ohio. And some other states, and then moved down here to be part of a large HP Procter & Gamble account before ended up with a few other IT positions in there, and then we started CMIT in 2016. So we're in our fifth year. And we've been here in the Cincinnati area for about 14 years now. So where do we start? A lot of questions that I get asked is, what's the likelihood that my company is going to be targeted by a hacker? After all, I'm only 2, 3, 10 people. Why would they want to attack me? Are ransomware attacks really that widespread? And if my data is in the cloud, aren't they responsible for making sure my data is safe? And does business insurance cover breaches if I have a breach? What can I do today to protect myself and my company? And hopefully we're going to talk about some of those things today. A lot of them require some other discussions, presentations, and if you're interested, I'm happy to come chat with you at any time on those topics. But this is the threat landscape today. So there are all kinds of things out there: adware, spyware, viruses, phishing, spear phishing, worms, Trojan rootkits. We see all of these on a regular basis. We are monitoring nearly 400 computers at our company, and we get alerted whenever there is an attack or something happens on one of our machines. With respect to phishing usually comes in through an email. We don't see those through our virus protection, just the email. It's when they click on that link that we see something happen. But I get a lot of emails from my customers that say, hey, Steve, I got this email. Is this legit? Do I need to do something? And usually if they have to ask me, usually the question is throw it away. But today we're going to focus on that spear phishing and spear phishing. So another thing I wanted to just kind of throw out there: where do the cyber attacks come from? Who's generating these emails? And here's a little bit of information. I pulled this off. We're looking at 10 years of data. It used to be that Romania was the #1 attacker. Now it's China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, even the U.S. Are the top players in generating the malware, the security risks for your company. Teach a man to fish. Of targeting spear phishing attacks, most of them, 43%, were directed at businesses with 250 or fewer employees. So that's almost half of the attacks are going towards small businesses. Just a small note and a little bit of history. That you may wonder, why is it phishing with a PH? So I'll give you the historical. It started back in the phone days when there was a common threat called phreaking, where you could make phone calls, illegal phone calls, by hacking the phone tones, and that was called phreaking. And the guy that came up with that kind of put a PH on there as an homage to the phone company. And so now, as we get into the phishing, it truly is phishing with an F, and but they kind of threw the PH on there to pay homage to the phreaking guy back in the 70s and 80s. How do you get your viruses? And again, the #1 way is you're opening an email and you're clicking on a link or an attachment. You may click on a pop-up ad that you've been infected when you're on a browser. Downloading and running unfamiliar software. There's a lot of free programs out there that you can download and run to make your life easier. It's not all clean. There's always a lot. Usually, if it's free, it's for a reason. There's adware, there's malware, or even malicious code. Downloading and opening documents from a person you're not familiar with. Clicking online ads, especially if there's deals that are too good to be true. They're usually not true. Not keeping your system software up to date. I'll throw out, if you're still using Windows 7, you should seriously figure out a way to get your machine upgraded to Windows 10. And then not running virus protection, or you had virus protection on your system, but you never really update it. It may not be doing its job. Another thing that's going on in the industry is ransomware as a service. So there are people that you can contact that will, you can give them a list of emails, companies that you would like to maybe attack yourself. And these people will take their cut as long as you provide them with emails, and they can find a way to get in. So there's some malicious stuff going on. That's this as a service model is great for everything else, but maybe not so much for ransomware. So let's jump into it. So phishing, I'm sure you've all seen mails that you're not so sure of. What I'd like, the goal of today is to make you more comfortable about looking at emails and understanding, that it's okay to throw them away, and why. So we're going to start off with I call it the slow pitch softball right here. So these are actually all the mail that you're going to see are ones that I have either received myself, or my customers have sent to me. I've tried to sanitize these and keep my customers out of it, but they do send me ones and say, "Hey, can I click on this? Is this legitimate or not?" So this is one I got. Obviously, I did not get the $2.5 million. I was a little upset. I thought I was going to be able to retire. But if we look at this email, the first thing that I looked at is this address up at the top, this RISOVIN at Gmail. Generally, something official is not going to come from a Gmail account. The account is kind of generic. It's not even an official. For some small businesses, they do use Gmail, but they usually have their name. They usually have their company name in front of that Gmail if they're doing it. The second thing is we go down here. These mails don't match where they're coming from. So he wants you to send back to this address, these email addresses down here, but those aren't the ones that it came from. So there's really a mismatch there. And then he's asking for a lot of information from you, like your driver's license, address, your phone number. All of this stuff is, especially your driver's license, that's stuff that's sellable on the black market. And then you are invited to go fill out a form. That's actually a good link. You'll go to a Google form and you can enter that information, but we certainly don't want you to do that. So that's the easy one. There's another one I got. This one's from Laura. Laura's in Japan. When you look at the email, she's in Japan. That .jp means she's in Japan. The CMIT Solutions tells me that she created an info email on this Japanese mail service, and she just told it that her name was CMIT Solutions. And now she's sending a mail. So she's got a hold of some CMIT Solution email addresses, probably a lot of them. I mean, they're all out on our website. You can find my address on our website. And she's now probably sent this to several CMIT Solutions. 917, I didn't recognize the area code. I wasn't expecting anything from Laura. Not a good idea to open that attachment. And it's also not even a sound file, it's an HTML. If you look at that HTML right there, it's going to take you somewhere else. It's not even going to play a sound recording for you. It's going to take you to a website. That's probably not a good thing. All right, still sticking with the easy ones here. So I got a notice from Huntington Bank that I tried to log on from an unknown location. I don't have a Huntington Bank account, so it was kind of curious, but it's coming from eebook.com. And again, they've set up so the name that shows up from that email is Huntington Bank. The other thing you can look at right here, if you do a verify and look where this is going to take you, it's has a very long web address and doesn't look like someplace you would want to go. Not something you recommend that I recognize. So again, it's one we just stay away from that kind of an email, and don't open those links. All right, so here's another one. Now I do have. Oops, I'm gonna make that a little smaller. So I took out the company. This is where it came from. No reply at SharePointOnline.com. But I took out the user, the user that sent it to me, and it was from him to him, which was kind of odd, because we know they weren't in the system. So they did manage to put together a pretty good spoof on the email. And then he's saying, "Hey, I'm sending you this file to share, and it's bonuses." He's hoping that the recipient is curious about who's getting bonuses this year. And if you open that file again, it's going to take you to someplace, who knows where, and it's probably not a good place to go and visit. So this is one we would just, again, throw away. Now, one we see on we're seeing an increase in this one. I've gotten a lot more requests. Roger Lewis is the head of all of CMIT Solutions. So he's down in Austin, Texas. But if you'll notice again, the email says it's coming from Gmail. It's not coming from Roger's account. But if somebody's not paying attention, it's like, oh, I got an email from Roger. So he says, hey, have you got a minute? I need you to do something for me discreetly. And if you were to reply to this, what he would say is, I need you to go buy some gift cards for our awards banquet coming up. Can you go, over to Target and get, 7 $50 gift cards? You can expense it. And I've actually seen some of my customers have gone and bought gift cards because they didn't look at where it actually came from. And they just wanted to kind of make sure that they were taking care of what the boss needed. And everybody likes to make sure the boss is taken care of, so they'll run out and get those gift cards. The thing that they'll have you do once you get those, they will have you scratch off the little security code. They'll have you take a picture of it and send it to them. Over email or by your phone, and then once you send them a picture of that gift card, they can go ahead and cash in and take those funds. So basically, you've lost that money. All right, and then here is another one that we're seeing a lot of. Not necessarily this one, but again. It looks like on this email, and again, this came to me. There is no to in this one, which means they probably sent it to a bunch of people with a blind carbon copy, so you don't see who the to is. I would guess that Makiko Kent is the actual email that they probably got hacked, and then they're sending out secure messages to people. And the object is to get you to go to the OneDrive. Now, they've used the short code. And if you don't know what a short code is, it's taking a long web address. There are, Google has a service where you can just make it shorter, so you don't have a great big long address. So you really can't tell where that goes. My guess is, and I haven't gone here, is that it's going to take you to a site and say, oh, in order to see this, you need to log into your Office 365 account to see your OneDrive. Oh, okay. And it says enter your username and password, and you enter it, 1, 2, 3 times. You're sure you're entering it right, and they keep saying, oh, that's not valid. And so you kind of say, well, something's wrong. My password's changed. And what you've actually done is you've now given a rogue website your username and password. Now they're going to log into your Office 365 account, and they're going to send this same type of message to another group of people to harvest more. What they're doing is just harvesting user IDs and passwords. Not necessarily that they want to get into your mail, but there is a very, very good chance that that password that you're using for your OneDrive is probably used on other accounts that you have. So they're actually going to take that user ID, which is probably your email, and your password, and maybe even go look at your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, and do some social engineering to figure out, what bank do you use? What financial services do you like that you might have an account with? And then start trying that same user ID and password in other locations till, and there's people, that's all they do. They spend, 8, 10, 12 hours a day with these harvested passwords trying to break into accounts that you own, that you may have given to them. So those are ones, although they seem harmless because they don't really get into your account right away, they do gain knowledge of your user ID and password. Here's I'm gonna throw this one over here. This one was sent to me. I'll be honest. I fell for this one. We use a quarantine service. We use Barracuda, and this is kind of like the message we get when I have messages that get quarantined. And I was in a hurry one day. I saw this, and I really didn't even look at, really what the recipients were or who they came from. But again, look at this email address. So it's a long email address. It's got a JP. So it's, again, somebody coming from Japan. And it basically just said 3 quarantine. So I said, release them. I didn't really get the response I wanted when I clicked on that first release, because you see where it's going. It's going to haroldbell.com. That's not a Barracuda, my Barracuda website. And then as I look closer, it's like, oh yeah, this is a bad email. Really not one I should have clicked on. So fortunately, that was not a malicious site. I think they were just trying to gather information. But I think the main thing is when you're working in your email, to take your time. If it looks the least bit odd, you want to take a good look at it and make sure that it is a valid email message. I know that our mail service, our quarantining service, can also alert you when a message comes from the outside. So it can put a big message up there and say, this is an external message, please use caution. And that's, some companies like using that so that their people do have an extra warning before they open an email message from an external source. All right. So here is another document. I'm going to go through these again. So Devin Hulsley at Total Pro Source. So everybody knows Pro Source. They're big in Cincinnati. And a lot of my customers use Pro Source for their larger printers. I know a lot of people using Pro Source. I know people over at Pro Source. So Devin got his email hacked, because this is coming directly from Devin at his Total Pro Source email. And he says, please have a look at the below document. And again, once you get to that document, it's going to ask you for your username and password. But a lot of my customers got this very same email on the same day, and unfortunately, it was a phishing email. I think about probably 5 or 6 hours after this one came out, later that afternoon, I got a message from the president of ProSource saying, "Hey, don't open that email." Probably a little late, but it happens. I mean, Devin probably fell for that same thing. He probably went to a similar link, and somebody, picked up his email and just kind of proliferated that same scheme. And I'm going to take a quick time check. Okay, we're doing pretty good. So here's one from UPS. I got a message from UPS that my package got delayed. I get a lot of packages. We order a lot of hardware. I have probably 4 or 5 deliveries a week, almost. And then I get a message to say one of my packages has been delayed. So it's my address, and they say click here. Oh, that doesn't look good. Also, shipping confirmation is not UPS. So we're looking at UPS notices from shipping-confirm. that's not an email that UPS would, it doesn't match an email that UPS would use to send me a note. It would come from ups.com. It should come from UPS, maybe shipping.ups.com, but I would even be suspicious about that if it wasn't UPS directly. And then again, the link, we're not sure where that goes, but it is that shipping-confirm.com. But they all kind of go to the same, from the same place. The other thing that I noticed is generally when you get something from UPS, FedEx, your bank, there's usually a link to the bank somewhere. Usually this top UPS bar is active, or there's a link to UPS tracking, contact us. There's usually some more information, other than just going to the link to learn more. So again, your account has been locked was kind of, another kicker, because, that's a little extreme for a delayed, for what we're looking with. So this was an email that I actually sent myself. We have we can do phishing test for our customers. We can send out all the users at a company a phishing email, a sample phishing email, and say, see who clicks it. See who might need extra training, who needs to be warned. So if you were to actually click that link, it would say, hey, you've been hooked, and you shouldn't have clicked on that. So here's some interesting thing, another thing to look at. Obviously this was my access was blocked again. I did something bad at Wells Fargo. I did have a Wells Fargo account when I received this, but one of the things I noticed right off the bat, besides the fact that this came from Michelle at Mednax, and they kind of spoof this name in here, Wells Fargo, is there's a little O over that, a little dot over that O in Wells Fargo. And so they're trying to, they want you to think it's from Wells Fargo, but they had to change it a little bit, and they didn't really need to do that. So it was, maybe they just didn't know the right character for their keyboard. Obviously somebody from out of town, out of the country, was generating this. But the other thing you'll see, that Wells Fargo link is not hot. This where they had, this is what I would expect to see from Wells Fargo down here, but that's just a picture that they cut out of another email. So you can't click about Wells Fargo or careers, because that's just a picture, not even a good picture, because it's pretty blurry. And the same with this down here is though you can't click on those fraud information center. You can't even get there, but they make it look good. And then if you click on that link, you're going to go to quickcashnow.com or quickcashnow.club. Definitely not a place you would go to unlock your Wells Fargo account. Another one that'll get you if you're in a hurry. Your mailbox is almost full. I don't know who Dee Beverly is at this management company, but obviously her mail's been stolen. They've said it's now from Microsoft, and I think there's even a little character under that O. You can't really tell, but in Microsoft, I think there's a little dot under the O. Again, a bad character. This is just a picture of my mailbox. Usually it's the text is separate from the graphic image. And then again, get started. I don't know where that goes. They could be harvesting the name, or it could be a malicious site. So we don't generally want to click on that. All right. How about CDC? Anybody interested in the infection stats for your area? So this was sent to me. Again, I'll fess up. I sent this out to myself to test our phishing service. But you know, if you were tracking, and again, this was back in August or September, if you wanted to track, you know, what was going on in your area and see the latest stats, you could go to this link right here. But again, that's not the link you're going to go to. You're going to this admin alerts website. Again, CDC is not using admin alerts. It's going to be CDC at the end of after the @ sign. So it's not a good email. Again, this was intentional to spoof somebody, and just trying to get them to click on that link to see if they need more training. Also, look at you know, some of this information, like the date didn't autofill. You know, obviously there's some issues with the email. All right, let's talk about the FBI. I got an email from Andrew McCabe that I was due some money, 10.3 million this time. This one is you know, just easy to spot a lot of errors. Besides the fact, again, it's coming from Japan. I am not sure why anybody in the FBI would be using a email from a company in Japan. It wasn't addressed to me directly. Again, it's going to himself at Gmail, so that's a little fishy. That you don't see that it's even addressed to me. So again, I was probably on a huge list of blind carbon copies, and this went out to a lot of people all at one time. The main thing I wanted to show on this one are just the myriad of, I'll say, punctuation issues. Yeah, and grammar issues. You know, that no space after the period. You know, there were a series of meetings, but it's just series of meetings have been held. And again, you look, there's a period, no capital, you know, all sorts of extra spaces. An easy way to spot that, you know, somebody that wrote this did not have a good handle on the English language. And of course, as you get down here, they're asking for a lot of information. Now that seems harmless. I mean, a lot of this stuff you probably have in your LinkedIn account, but what they're trying to do is start a dialogue with you, and then they will ask for more information. So again, we're looking at, you know, he wants you to follow up to this email. Again, that's not a government address. And I think, let's see. Yeah, I think those are the main things for that one, the grammar, and again, looking at where you're going to respond to this guy to start that dialogue to get your $10.3 million. All right, this one I'll put in the category of I'm not sure. As you look at this email, you know, it came from support at Super SAS. Super SAS is the user name. If you go to the link, it says it's going to take you to Super SAS. I don't remember ever having a Super SAS account. That was my issue. You know, if it was JC Penny points, would that entice me more? It might entice other people, but you know, I wasn't too upset about losing this account. In fact, like I said, I don't even remember having it. So I just kind of put that away and you know, didn't react to anything on that page. I'm going to bring this one over. So here's an interesting email from John Winston at merrilllynch.com. So I work with John Winston. He is a broker that I work with from on a corporate level. I did get this from him. I wasn't expecting anything from him. That was the weird thing. So, it's got this weird secure attachment. The Bank of America is not clickable, this secure email thing. And it just says I have a secure email. And if I click there, SecMail, somebody could have created that secmail.Bank of America. If you're not familiar with Bank of America and not familiar with their secure email. And then more info, that just goes back to the secure message, Bank of America. That's secure message, and that's secure mail. So I had a lot of things kind of tip me off that this was not a good email. Well, the fact of the matter is, it was a good email. John called me 2 weeks later and asked if I got the secure email message that he sent me. And I said, no, John, I threw it away because it didn't look like a good email. So now we have a conversation, and I asked him to resend it. I got the exact same message, and then opened the email and got the message that he wanted me to have. And I think the point I'm trying to make there, if you get something, even if it's from somebody you know and trust, like John Winston, he's my broker. I've been working with him for a couple years, but I wasn't expecting it. And I didn't think it was urgent enough that I didn't call him right there. Probably should have and said, hey, John, did you send me this? But you need to verify. If it looks a little bit fishy, you need to verify that they did send it to you if it's that type of an email. So again, we cleared it up. We got the email, and it was actually some forms that I needed to sign and get back to him. So, they're not all bad, but you have to err on the side of caution. And then we'll bring over the Dropbox from Janet at Wanderlust World Travels. Janet got hacked by somebody who wanted to send out some Dropbox emails. And again, if you click on that PDF, it's going to take you to a link somewhere. Notice the little P has a tilde over it. I think that's called a tilde from my Spanish days. And so they're spoofing the Dropbox name. There's nothing else here that I would expect with a Dropbox message. There are other services that I've gotten shared files from that look eerily similar to this, and it's not Dropbox, but they're actually legitimate files that were shared with me, and I get a message like this, although the name seemed to match somebody I knew. But again, always err on the side of caution when you're looking at emails. A couple more, and then maybe I don't know if we can take questions. Here's another one with. So this one was sent to Blue Ash Business Association. I am on the board for that, so I see their emails. It came from, so we get email. It's weird that it came from the Blue Ash Business Association to the Blue Ash Business Association, and it's from somebody at CC Millwright. So a name I don't recognize, and it says I need to revalidate my email. Well, that just kind of tells me right there that I don't think that's really what a valid request. And if you look at the revalidate now, it's going to take me to a website. If you can see that, the website is in Brazil, that com.br, in that very top line. And I apologize, this is a little small. So you're going to a website in Brazil to revalidate your local email. Again, probably not a place you want to go. And I got this one the other day telling me I can make a difference. And I looked at this a long time. Email at microsoftrewards.com. I'd never heard of the Microsoft Rewards program. So I really wasn't sure. I looked at all these links. They go to Microsoft Rewards. It was addressed to me. And so I kind of paused and looked at this a little harder, and determined eventually that this was a good email. But I think they need to give you some warning or give you a little bit more information to ensure you that it is a valid program. So it's just one I wouldn't normally click on. I would have deleted. And basically what it does is you get points for using Bing search. So they're trying to take the traffic away from Google and get you to use the Bing search. Okay, and this is my last one right here. So I got this from one of my acquaintances, and he just sent me this, and he said, "Hey, Steve, look at this. Is this legit?" And I'm going to call out. I'm going to leave the name for the guy that it came from, which was Sean Waldeman. But he was sending out a cyber news update that there is a security hole in your Exchange server. Now, if you look at that, that's not where Sean's email address was. So I'm not sure about that address being valid. All of these seem to go to, even though it says it's going to go to microsoft.com.security, I don't know why they would need a hyperlink behind that, a different web link behind that. It should just go to the same place, but it's going to this URL defense.proofpoint.com. And I just kind of looked at that. Even the unsubscribed is going to, someplace that I don't recognize. I sent an email back to the gentleman and said, yeah, that's a scam. Don't open it. And afterwards, I did a little more research, and turns out that the cyber secure defense company, Sean Waldeman, he's a real guy on LinkedIn. He's up in Dayton. This is his company, Secure Cyber Defense, and he actually had this very same message posted on his LinkedIn profile. So this was a legitimate email. And the message there is, I don't know if you're sending out emails, if you're doing cut and paste of information to send to people, but I wouldn't open it. I hope he got a good open rate because he was trying to provide beneficial service to people. But at the same time, he had enough. There were enough flags in here that I just thought that Sean got hacked. It was another Microsoft mail hack that somebody got a hold of his mail, and they were, sending this out on his behalf to get people to go to these links. So those are all the emails I have. I'm going to go ahead and, so what can I do to protect myself and my company? And the biggest thing is you have to create kind of this culture of security where people are aware that they need to pay attention to their emails. Again, going back to that slide, the number one way that viruses, that ransomware get into companies, somebody clicks on a link. And when I've in my 5 years, we've had two major security events. One was a virus that came in and just kept spreading to all the computers. So we spent a good deal of the time cleaning up the computers. And one was a ransomware. And fortunately, the way we work with our customers, we have them to where they'll never have to pay ransomware. We just, factory reset the computer, wipe out the disk drive, and we reformat and start all over and reload all their data because we have it backed up where it cannot get infected the same way the computer did. But, it could get 2 or 3 computers. It could take time to reload all those computers, and while that's happening, you have people that are unable to work. So again, you need to do training with your people. whether it's online on the web, have them watch this video, learn to understand what to look for. If you have the resources available to you, do phishing tests, send them fake emails and see who's clicking on them, see who's not paying attention, and give them some extra training. I mean, it's not meant to punish people, but help save your company lots of time and money by making sure your people are educated on what they can click, what they can't. And then finally, if you are so inclined and really want to go into a full cybersecurity framework for your company, this is kind of the all in. We're going to identify where people will come in. You have someone come in and identify where your security holes are. That could be on the network and just having your network exposed to attack, the email, and other things. And if you're a compliant industry like financial or healthcare, where you have regulations that guide your security, you need to identify those. And then by doing that, you can protect your environment. Now, a lot of people, those first two steps is probably, a lot of what you can do, but then there is the next step, which is detect. So a lot of people don't even know when they've been attacked. Somebody clicked on that link. It gave somebody access to their computer, to their network. Those people, got onto the computer, may have created an account for themselves, and they could sit in your network for 2-3 months. And that's where we get into those spear phishing attacks, where they're watching your email, your boss's email. They're learning who everybody is in the company. They're learning when people might be going on vacation and looking for an opportunity to say, I need you to wire money to this company today so we can secure a contract, or something like that. But they've spent months learning about your company. There was a slide. We didn't have room for all the slides, but there was one with a statistic that said, in those cases, those people are in your system for, probably as much as a year on average. So what happens once you set up detect? Then you have to have a response plan. What is your response plan? Who's going to make the call if you get breached? Who are you going to call if you get breached? If you're a regulated industry, you have to call somebody. You have to report that. And then what are your other responses? What else do you have to do? Is there insurance involved? Cyber insurance is a good thing to have to cover this sort of thing. It's not terribly expensive, but it can actually pay for your downtime. To pay your people while they're unable to work. And while things are being recovered, it can cover the cost of somebody coming in and cleaning up the damage. And so having a full response plan put together is always a good idea. And then finally, how do you recover? How do you get everything back? And then what are I'll say even post recovery, what additional training do you add? What can you do to, further the keep it from happening again? Okay. If you, this is my information. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and contact me. There is a handout. There is a poster. It's a 11 by 17 poster available in handouts. You can download it, print it yourself. It's 15 ways to protect your business from a cybersecurity attack. If you would like a nice printed, poster to hang up in your office, let me know. I'll send you one out in a mailer or a tube that's suitable for framing, or just hang it on your wall. And then that's all. We have a few minutes. I don't know, Kelly, can we do questions?
Yeah, definitely. We can get into a couple questions, and if anybody on the call has any questions you'd like to ask, please submit that in the questions panel, and I'll make sure to get that asked to Steve during our time today. But with that, we can go ahead and get into questions. So the first one I have is, do I need to only worry about phishing attacks through email, or what can others look like?
So we didn't really go through, phishing attacks come from various ways, and I've had, even in the last week, I've had 2 calls. My one customer called me and said, I was on the web, a message popped up that said my computer was infected and I needed to call Microsoft right away. And here's the 800 number. I've seen that. My dad's called them before. So Microsoft is never going to call you. Microsoft is never going to ask you to call them, unless you're one of their business partners or something like that. So if you get a message that pops up while you're browsing and says your computer may be infected, call us right now, don't do it. Just close the window. If it's locked, your computer, there are ways to still close the window. Through some keystrokes, or go to the task manager, or just reboot your machine if they've locked your window. But the main thing is, the whole spoof is to get you to call them. What they're going to do is they're going to ask to log into your machine to help troubleshoot. They're going to show you that you have a lot of viruses that they just put there, and then they're going to sell you some security software for at a very high price. I know this because I've seen people go through it, like my dad who called them, and fortunately he doesn't like to spend money, and felt the price was too much, so he wouldn't give them their credit card. So it was a good thing that being cheap was a good thing for once. So that's on the website. The other one that we see is people will call you on the phone at your home and tell you that there's a problem with one of your computers. And if you need to go to that, they say you need to go to that computer right now. I need to log on and fix the problem. And again, it's the same scam. They're going to log in. They're going to say, hey, here's the problem. You have all these viruses, and they're going to show you some things on your computer that are always there, some warnings and other things. They say, we need to clear these. And if you're not familiar with computers, that's going to look like a good deal, that they're going to clean your computer. But again, Microsoft is never going to call you. They're not going to ask you to call them. So those are the scams that you need to be aware of. And as I mentioned earlier, as you're going through your Facebook or LinkedIn, and you're seeing advertisements, and you see a deal that, wow, that's a great deal. I'm going to go check that out. Well, again, if the deal is too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah, it looks legitimate. It looks like that wet dry vac that I've been looking to buy for 6 or 7 months. I did a search for wet dry vacs. That's why I'm getting these ads. But there was that one legitimate ad that that wasn't legitimate, that gave you the deal. So again, just be careful. And again, that's the way you protect yourself on the web, and even on the phone.
Great. And then I think we have time for one more. Can you talk about the recent Solarwinds hack that's been in the news recently?
Yeah. So so Solarwinds, somebody actually got into the Solarwinds software and planted a Trojan inside the Solarwinds. So you have all these companies that were using that product, and unbeknownst to them, thinking it was a good security program, were actually gave people a back door to get into the systems. So, again, what what can you do in that case if you were a Solarwinds customer? I haven't heard if they're doing any kind of follow up with their customers, to help clean up any of the mess that was created. But it's even legitimate software can get hacked, and again, you just as a corporation, you need to look for things that are out of the norm. If one of the things that is, it's the virus protection program, the malware bytes, the trend micro, the McAfee, those things, they're good, but they're not covering everything. The SolarWinds incident, there are other things where you need to be monitoring 24/7 if you run a business that's regulated, or you have a large business where there may be, it's not one event, but there may be a series of small disparate events that could happen that could be monitored, and by those several of those events coming together, the artificial intelligence now in the security community can say, you've got an issue because we see all these little things happening. That means you've got this one big problem. And by yourself, you wouldn't see that. So there are more advanced security techniques, and that gets into that whole defend and defend your network that we talked about earlier, and putting together the right level of security for your business. Not everybody wants to pay for 24/7 monitoring on their network. I mean, it is expensive, but what's the expense of not doing it? What's the cost of your company to be down for 2 days? And that's the balance that you need to come up with. And again, if talk to your IT professional or a cybersecurity specialist, what they will do is look at it and again assess the risk and tell you what it would take to cover the risk, and then you weigh that against what's the cost to your business if you were to get hit by a virus. Would you be down? Would the cash register stop ringing? And that's really what you need to kind of assess, like every other business decision that you make, to keep the business running.
Great. Thanks, Steve. So that's going to conclude our Q&A session for today. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to Steve or Jason, or you can email events@gecreditunion.org and I can pass those questions along. And that is all we have for today. Thank you all so much for your time and for joining us this morning. Have a wonderful rest of your day.